Yeah, the 25% the paint, yes.
25% for painted. What about the breakdowns for the others?
It depends on the population. But typically what we're seeing is usually you're going to have about 25, yeah, you're going to have about 25-30% each group. 25 to 30% of them will move pretty well, not really any asymmetries. And then 25-30% will need some work. And then 25%, 30% will need some significant work. At the end of
That doesn't quite add up to 100, but he hasn't gotten to that part of his piece.
Yeah, I got you. Well, did you guys hear the question? Other than Gray's bullshit. The question was, is that pretty typical, the 25-30% pretty typical across populations where you're going to have really 25-30% of people are going to be pretty bad, 25-30% are going to be kind of that middle area, and then 25-30% are going to move pretty well. I'd say right now that's pretty standard from what I've seen. The combine group, the guys that did the screen at the combine this year, they were really bad across the board. So I think it does depend on, but if you're looking at a pretty diverse population, like a group of firefighters, like a group of what I'd say collegiate football players, where you got freshmen, you got seniors, that's where we're seeing typically that type of breakdown.
The one thing I will say is we've had this in athletics for almost 9 years with really good, consistent feedback. And the people who are working at the college or even the pro level are actually telling us it's getting worse, not better. Now, it is going to get better because this year was the first year the NFL Combine introduced the movement screen. So what did D1 schools start doing? All right, well, if they do the screen like it's supposed to and don't call my office and ask me which 4 tests can they delete at the same time, then a good thing will happen. And then it'll trickle down to the high schools and maybe we can actually put a dent in this problem. But Lee's absolutely right.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Say it again. Back up. Get this on video.
No, 25% is equal to 100. He's not right on that.
I'm only worried about 75%.
Yeah. What Lee's right about is many times the athletic prowess or the fitness of a particular population really doesn't have a bearing on their movement profile. They're your walking wounded. They're the people who need major correction. They're the people who basically are surviving it with varying degrees of movement competency. But that's why we approach this thing by minimums. You got to make some minimums. So, question?
Can you give research? I know you'll go over this tomorrow, so you can skip it. But on some of the times that it's taken to make some of these corrections, so when we do the assessment, say, hey, look, it can take about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 weeks. Do you have any research on certain protocols that do well or don't do well?
It is all over the place. What I can tell you is usually most movement screens, unless they're poor because of an underlying injury or structural problem, degenerative changes, unstable joint, okay? If a movement screen is just bad because of not training or training incorrectly, you can basically change it by about 3 points in a week. Now that doesn't mean you're working one-on-one with the correction during the thing. That means you're assigning some homework. I want you to do this, okay? The more you do at home, the more we can do here. And 8 years ago, when I'm telling personal trainers to assign their clients to do some homework, they're like, wait a second, how do I make money on that? When they're doing stuff here is when I make money. But the whole point is you will have a more rewarding workout with them if they get some of the mobility and stability stuff handled at home. We don't give them a whole lot, but usually if they don't have a lot of underlying things, you can change a movement screen by about 2 or 3 points in a week. And that's unbelievably rewarding for the person because, fitness people wait on that before and after picture, right? The picture where you stand for the camera like this before, and then you stand like this after. They don't think we see that shit? And now you got a tan and you're smiling too? But the before and after that I really like is almost everybody in here has a digital camera with a movie mode on it. And when you take a before picture of somebody who can't squat, or they struggle with the push-up, or the hurdle step makes them fall over, and in 1 week or 2 weeks, you email them a video side by side of the way they moved before you and the way they move now, don't think they're not going to share that video with a lot of people because people can really embrace embrace and appreciate that. You can't trick that thing. You can trick before and after, touch, photo, airbrush, pan, smiling.
What, even, you'll see improvements, significant improvements in one session. I mean, so you'll have your individual maybe 3 points better in 30 minutes. You know, doing the corrections, doing the stuff. And that's what, and then you know the recipe. You know what they need to be doing. And that's where they get the buy. That's where they get the buy. Say, listen, you're doing so much better now than you were when you walked in. Do this every day. So when you come back to see me next week, you're 3 points better. And I can now kick your ass working out instead of having to do a lot of stuff on the floor.
So the recipe goes like this, because the next question somebody's getting ready to ask is, yes, but won't they lose it? How many people are getting ready to ask me that? Okay. So, huh? I read the line.